What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Sunday night's late night agenda, where as always I hope that life is treating you well. Appreciate you guys giving up some of your Sunday evening to come and have a chat with me, and I hope that you're all in good form and good spirits. We had an entertaining game of the FA Cup earlier on. I'm sure you guys probably tuned in to watch the Arsenal-Manchester United game. Your thoughts on that, very much welcome. Of course, the Reds have been drawn to play Plymouth Argyle in the fourth round of the FA Cup. Your thoughts on that, most welcome as well. And of course, anything else that you guys would like to go through. Today I made a conscious effort of deciding that with the thumbnail, rather than focusing on, player links that are out there, let's just talk about what we think we need. And of course, giving a bit of love to Jaden Danns as well, who in my humble opinion could very well be the future for Liverpool through the centre. So we're going to go through it all tonight, as well as of course a few links in the paper. I'm going to give you my take on fan content and why I think it doesn't get the respect it deserves, and a few other bits and pieces, of course. Right, let me get through a couple of quick super chats that have flown in. Right, first one up from Marcus said, highlight of the day, how about you, bro? I'm very grateful to be here. Very grateful for all the support I've received over the last 24 hours from Liverpool fans from different parts of the world as well. You obviously seen I was a little bit down yesterday, and look, that'll all become clearer over the course of time, but appreciate you, my man. Welcome in. Read Rock, they've banned Nunes, chat. I don't know anymore. I used to read loads of forums like Rock and a few others, but I just don't have the time these days. It's pretty hectic. Life's getting busy, but I wouldn't have it any other way, Latif. But thank you, my man, for welcoming in. They've banned Nunes, chat. That one's interesting. Right. LFC Robo 26, thank you, bro. How upset are we all feeling with the lack of signings? I don't know how I feel now. Like, if we don't make a signing, my anger probably going to get higher. But as of right now, we're still in the window. So I'm trying to be optimistic, but I don't hold out much hope of much strengthening being done from our owners, as I'm sure you're well aware. Right, another one before we go. Looking good, my man. Thank you, mate. Appreciate you. The Phantom Panty Sniffer. Interesting one. What happens if you get caught and are unveiled, though? Do we get to know your name then? If we catch you in the act and we unveil you, you'll no longer be the Phantom Panty Sniffer. There you go. Welcome in. So yeah, look, where to start off this evening? Let's go with the FA Cup draw. Let's talk about the FA Cup draw for a few minutes while we let the chat fill up and people come in. It's a good draw. You always want a home draw for the fans who are able to go. Obviously, I know a lot of people are in the Auto Cup scheme, always looking for a home draw there where possible for my fellow fans, but it wasn't the worst draw, was it? The Pie Face Derby is what I'm calling this one already, so it's an interesting one. Another chance for Arne Slot to rest and rotate a lot of players, probably get more opportunities for the likes of Danns, Chiesa. Well, that's of course if Danns is at the club by the end of January. I'm not sure what the loan situation there might be. But yeah, not too bad of a draw. I had a little feeling we might get a Merseyside derby, to be honest with you, in the draw, but maybe that was just, subconsciously after the Accrington Stanley game. But yeah, not too bad. I'm happy enough with it. I'm sure you guys probably are as well. Josh Trainer said it's interesting. Craig, what do you think about buying players and they could go down? What do you mean, like relegation threatened teams? I mean, there's always a gem or two to be had from the teams in the bottom part of the table. We've done decent before, the likes of Andy Robertson from Hull and a few others. So, I'm not against it. I don't feel much optimism out there in the Liverpool fan base with regards to signings at the minute, which of course is understandable as well. Universe said, Craig, thoughts on Fowler's comments on Darwin? I think they were very fair. Robbie Fowler knows what he's looking at. He knows a striker when he sees one. And, I have the comments here to hand, so I'll read them back out again for people who may have missed them. But I don't think Robbie Fowler spoke out of turn or anything like that. I felt it was just an honest view and an honest assessment of what Fowler thinks about Darwin Núñez and what he's doing at Liverpool. Right, where were these comments? I had them here the other day. Now I'm just trying to make sure I can get them back up. That one. Where is it? Apologies, folks. I'm flying through my notes here to see if I still have it. Where is it? I know I have this comment from Robbie Fowler in here somewhere, but maybe I've deleted it accidentally. Is this one? No. Where's it gone? Where are you? I seem to have deleted it. Basically, he said hard work isn't enough. Hard work should be a prerequisite. And when he looks at Darwin Núñez, he just doesn't see a Liverpool striker. And I think that's fair enough. You know, nobody wants to be negative about anybody at the club and any player who's not cutting it. You know, nobody wants to be negative, but you also can't just keep sticking your fingers in your ears year after year and hoping that things get better. You need some evidence of it. And there have been little shoots of promising play from Darwin this season. I think his work rate, you never really question. It's always there. Just doesn't have the composure in the final third and missing some chances. So, yeah, frustration. We all want him to do well. We all like Darwin. I have the Robbie Fowler comments here now. Thank you. Mark sent them on to me. So, he said, you're not signing him to work hard. You've got to score goals. You've got to perform better. You've got to do that better in a Liverpool shirt. And again, I think Fowler, you know, he's on the money with his comments. There was certainly not hateful or anything. I think it was just an honest assessment of what he's seen from Darwin so far. I deleted my own chat. 1 second, sorry. I'm having one of those days, folks. I'm having one of those days. Bear with me while I just grab this back up. Right, where are we? There we go. There we go. It's a glorious day. Arsenal in the mud. Most delusional fan base in Europe gets it. Do you know what? I was actually going to bring that up to talk about him in a little while, mate, because just when you think you've had your peak Arsenal delusionment, then they come out with a post like this on social media where one of their fans said, out of the FA Cup, perfect. That means one thing for us. Arsenal fans, book your tickets to the Allianz Arena in Munich, Germany on the 31st of May 2025. That's where Arsenal will lift the Champions League. We will silence this platform. I think I speak on behalf of many football fans when I say to Arsenal fans like that, if you could just silence yourselves, that'd be great. Because the platform is only calling you out for your own nonsense that you've posted over and over again. So perhaps, you know, just keep yourselves quiet and stop. Because you're not winning the Champions League. You're not winning the Premier League. You know now you're not winning the FA Cup. And you're in an uphill battle against Newcastle to get into the final of the League Cup. It's shocking. Now, one thing I do want to call out, and you always have a moral dilemma of whether you highlight these horrible, disgusting comments or not. But I think it's important that we do. Kai Havertz's wife shared a post where somebody said, I hope you have a miscarriage, to Kai Havertz's wife, Sophia. And I'll never understand what type of moron, what type of lowlife thinks that is acceptable or that is the way to react to anything. I hope this person is found out. I hope that they get whatever comeuppance legally that they can have. But it's so heartbreaking because, look, we all vent about players. I certainly vent about players, but I don't take it onto social media. I'd never take it into DMs or comments, and I'd never get personal about it. It's just so disgusting, and it's so heartbreaking to see that in 2025, this type of nonsense is still going on. So, you know, I hope that Kai Havertz and his family can get to the bottom of this and have that person, at the very least, have their account banned, because it's disgusting to see stuff like that. Roosba, how are you, my man? Said the Dalot second sending off was identical to Bergvall's. In a separate note, Amram is improving United much better than Ten Hag. Look, I said when Amram came in that he's a good coach, and it is going to take time, but certainly between the performance against us and then that performance down to 10 men for a good chunk of the game, a very, 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 very soft penalty given for the foul. I call it a foul. I don't think it was a foul. I think United fans have every right to be aggrieved about that penalty decision. But Bayern stepped up and made the save and then was the hero as well in the penalty shootout, and United found their way into the next round. So yeah, I'm sure United fans happy enough with that one, and Amram certainly is improving them, my man. I've no disagreement with you on that. So look, I have a couple of bits and pieces I want to fly through here as well, from some of the news that you may or may not have seen earlier on in the video. There's a report from Sport over in Spain to say that Liverpool and Newcastle are interested in signing Loic Bade. A fee of about 25 or 30 million euro has been mentioned there. Tyler Morton has been speaking about this month for him, and he said, "This month's a big one for me, and it's decision time. I think I'm ready to kick on and be a proper professional, as I always say. So I'm definitely ready to make and take that next step. If that's here or somewhere else, football is football, and I've got to be a bit selfish and go with what feels right for me." I can understand that. It must be difficult for these younger players like Tyler Morton, where they're getting loaned out, they're doing well, but still not really finding the opportunities in the first team coming their way. Whether that's right or wrong, I do understand him maybe looking to just establish himself and go and play football. I never want to give out about anybody who just wants to go and play football. Careers are short, so whatever happens this month, I do hope it's for the best for Tyler Morton and of course for the club as well. Next up, Calvin Ramsey. A couple of people asking about Calvin Ramsey over the last few days. Been reported that he's set to sign on loan with Kilmarnock, according to Scott Burns anyway. So keep an eye on that one. And again, as long as he gets some minutes into his legs and gets back playing senior football, that should hopefully be a good thing for Calvin Ramsey. Craig Houlden, Liverpool have taken the decision to recall him, apparently, said James Pearce, from Norwich due to the lack of game time. I think Norwich are waiting for a signing to come in, though, before that they agree. And I don't know if Liverpool can cancel the loan, or I don't know, if they have to have the agreement of Norwich. But either way, it looks like Craig Houlden will be cutting his time with Norwich short. Dave said, "Hey Craig, I'm from Plymouth and going to try and get tickets. It's going to be a bit hard for my uncle who's an Argyle fan." Yeah, look, enjoy. If you get to go to the game, man, enjoy it. I've no doubt it's going to be a big day for Plymouth. Liverpool rocking up to town. Enjoy it, and I hope you get your tickets. So, I want to talk some about something really quickly. I'm getting a bit of a pain in my backside with fan content being sniggered at and looked down the nose by many people, and I've decided I'm just going to draw a line in the sand now at this point. I know what side I'm on. I know what side my bread's buttered on, and I know that I speak on behalf of a lot of people. So I'm going to keep defending fan content like I always have done, whether that's the aggregate accounts on social media that do work to try and put together posts for Liverpool fans, whether that's fan channels and podcasts like myself and others. I'm getting a bit fed up of being told that we don't understand things and that we're not serious people, and people sticking their noses up or looking down their noses at us. It's just not happening. It's not carrying on. The landscape's changing, and I'm going to stand my ground on it. So, yeah. I've got football fan channels and fan contents back, and I'm not going anywhere. Over the last 24 hours, it's been, and I can't talk about it today. I will talk about it in the near future, but I can't today because I'm still processing a lot of stuff. A lot of things have been made very clear to me over the last 24 hours, and you find out who your friends are in these moments and who turns their back on you. And I won't forget these things either. I think and I hope that people have learned by now, keep writing fan content off, keep writing me off, and see how it works out, because I'm going nowhere, my opinions are going nowhere, and I speak for a community of people that feel like they don't have a voice, and they feel like they're sick of being told what they're seeing with their own eyes isn't the case. So, bring it, is what I'm saying. Fucking bring it. Next up, Izzy, how are you? Said, "I'm back, you gorgeous mofos. Hope you're well, Craig, and don't forget WFM. You know what is? Over the past 24 hours, I've received so many emails. Not one of them negative. All of them supportive, and all of them fed up with the owners. All of them fed up with the club being treated like a second-class outfit. Not getting backed in the spender market. Being told that we don't understand, everybody's wrong, we just don't get it. I'm done with it. The gloves are off, and I'm fucking sick to death of them all. So, yeah, bring it, like I keep saying. Investigate madly, woeful officiating today, said Shane. Shane, that penalty was a disgrace. Now, I didn't see the whole game, bro. I didn't. I'm not going to sit here and say I did. But what I tuned in and what I seen, I do feel like you've every right to feel a little bit aggrieved today. And, that penalty was nothing short of shocking. And, you guys got, I guess, what you would deem is your karma when Bayindir saved it. But, yeah, not great, mate. But, look, my take on officiating in English football, Shane. It hasn't been good enough for quite a while. Thoughts on Carlisle United? I don't really have too many, Toby. I have some relatives that live in Carlisle that I've met once. And that's about it, really, my man. So, yeah, don't have too many thoughts on Carlisle. Welcome back to Anfield Agenda FC. Hey, Craig, United fan here. Thoughts on our game? Said Beerloxy. I mean, I thought you did well and showed great courage when you're backs against the wall. It's never easy going down to 10 men away from home, especially in a cup game. You have to ride your luck at times as well. Keeper made some good saves. Arsenal missed some good chances. And you made them pay in the penalty shootout. I think many people felt like you were getting the short end of the stick from the refereeing decisions. And I say that as a Liverpool fan. I had many Liverpool fans on my Discord and in my chat saying similar things. Yeah, but you got through and you booked your place in the next round. So, you know, anything at this moment in time that humbles some of the Arsenal fans, I'm on board for it. Eddie Cox Wilkins, how are you, my man? Said FSG needs to go now. We need owners with money. So look, on this, I struggle, Eddie, mate. I struggle to see how we're wrong. How anybody who called out our owners for not spending, I struggle to find out how we're always wrong. So you're saying it, mate. Many people in the chat said it. Many people yesterday will say it. You are right. We are sitting here now in a good position. And nobody's trying to deny that. And nobody's trying to undermine the league position either. If anything, we're trying to protect it. We're trying to make sure that we hold the owners to account so that Arne Slot and that team get their just rewards at the end of the season. Not hope that they get them. Not pray that we don't pick up an injury. Just look at Arsenal as an example. More injuries. Saka out. Jesus out. They had a scare with Odegaard. The youngster on the right-hand side was out as well. And it very quickly can happen like that. And I know you can't make signings just to preempt an injury. But there are areas of our squad that, whatever side of a debate you're on, you can see that we need strengthening in. Areas that just haven't been strengthened in a while. And anybody who also thinks that this contract situation isn't causing a distraction are just being delusional. And I've seen a real change of opinion over the past 6 months with regard to the owners and the spending. Some people who tried to be more open-minded to it are just seeing the same stuff repeated window after window, the same excuses rolled out and the same lack of spending. But most importantly, the lack of accountability is shocking at Liverpool Football Club. Shocking. To see people who profess to be serious people and writing about the club failing to talk about this or to just belittle everybody else who dares call it out. I don't know who they think they're winning over, but like I've said many times, the football landscape is changing and how people consume their content is changing. And football fans like to look to their fellow fans now because, I'll be honest with you, I've gotten to know many journalists over the years. A lot of them very, very good people, very nice people. But they're all basically, you know, particularly ones that cover a certain club, they're at the will of the clubs. They get told what the clubs want them to know, and very occasionally, yes, there's a bit of a investigative journalism that unearths a link or something, but more often than not when I speak to these guys, it's, I heard this from a club source, or the club say this, and the club say what they want you to know. So if we don't think that that's right, I think we as fans have every right to put our hands up and say, what's going on? You know, it's simple as that for me. Rusba said, I really appreciate you, Craig. I had the Sunday blues today and your program makes me feel much better. So I finished my stream last night, mate, and I went and sat with my head in my hands for a while because I felt really angry after last night. And I feel even more angry today. But I'm keeping my counsel for the minute out of respect for somebody. But I'm just done with being looked down upon. I'm done. And I'm done with my audience being looked down upon. Do you know how often I get to hear that you guys are basically just the FIFA generation who don't understand things? Or that the audience is too thick to understand the real world and what's really going on. It's just nonsense. And you deserve better. You deserve to be spoken about better. You deserve to have your opinions really listened to and not just belittled and just tagged as distractions or idiots. I just fucking hate it. I hate it. So I'm going to do what I do, which is say things as I see them. If the club need to be praised, I'm here for it. I want to be praising them. If the manager... look, I don't turn on players. I don't turn on the manager. I don't get toxic. But I also don't buy every bit of bullshit that's served up to me. And nor should you. Like I've said to you guys for years. Call it out. Question it. Everything. Hey Craig, you have 292,000 subscribers who don't look down on you. Yep. And they're who I represent, mate. You know? That's as simple as that. If people want to think little of, not just me, I'm talking about fan content in general. I'm fed up of the snobbery, especially with the established stuff around our own club. And I can only really speak for life around our own club because I'm a Liverpool fan, but I'm fed up of it. I'm fed up of people thinking they're better than us. I'm fed up with people jumping on social media to try and call fan accounts out and make out like we're all beneath them, while at the same time not being able to take even the slightest bit of criticism towards what you're writing or saying. Like, you don't have the right to tell somebody how they should feel reading one of your pieces. If something's interpreted in a way that you don't want it to be, well then maybe reflect on why it was written that way, or maybe look yourself in the mirror and ask, am I being sincere? Because I'm always going to come out swinging when people think they're better than me or anybody else, because it's a type of snobbery that I've never been able to deal with my entire life, and I'm sick of them. They need to understand, you don't hold the fucking power anymore. You don't hold the cards anymore. The landscape has changed, and there's a reason why fan content's growing, because you're not giving people what they need, which is to feel a sense of belonging, to feel like their voice counts, and to feel like they're being listened to. There are other social media platforms saying spending puts us on the brink of violating PSR. We're well within the PSR framework to spend. Don't forget all the players we moved off the wage bill in the last 2 years. Look, I can't speak to other platforms or what other people are saying, but I agree with you, the detective. Any conversation about us being close to being in PSR trouble is just, in my opinion, nonsense. You're right. We were told ourselves. These are the hypocrisies that piss me off a lot of the time, right? We were all told how much we were saving in wages when the players moved on, and we all expected that to be reinvested. And as we see here right now, and I'm open to being corrected on this, I don't remember that money being reinvested. I don't remember the new contract being given to Virgil, to Mo and Trent. I don't. I remember making a profit again in the transfer window. I remember once again being told that we're all wrong and we don't understand it and that it isn't FIFA. But again, we're not stupid. Stop treating us like we are. Don't care how good he is. I never want to see El Hadj Diouf on the Liverpool team sheet again. So yesterday, Andy, when we were talking about the Diouf stuff, my memory went back there as well, bro. And you're right. You know what I disliked most about him, Andy? It was how much he hated Carrot and Gerrard. How much he said, like, basically from day one, he didn't feel accepted or whatever, and maybe wasn't alert to the fact that his attitude stunk. And that's a period of Liverpool's history that I don't really want to look back on and think of him in the team, because he's just not a very nice fella. Fidget, thank you, bro. Appreciate you, mate. Thank you. I'm just a normal fella, bro. That's it. But I am a guy with a backbone. Like I've said, I'm no shrinking violet, and I'm not going to stand here and have my industry pissed all over by people who think they're better than us. Not going to happen. Did I attend the game yesterday? No, I had an appointment with my son that we needed to keep yesterday morning. And I'm not going to be travelling over to the Lille game either. And I guess I should probably address that and give it some context. And look, I came to this conclusion. I'm not wanted inside Anfield. I've been told that very clearly from the established, let's say, professionals, the serious people in and around the club. So I've just decided, you know what? I'm not set foot inside the place while FSG are in charge, because I'd rather set the money on fire than keep giving it to them. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm going to give my ticket away to somebody. And yes, I get the irony of me still spending the money, but I'm just done with them. I'm honestly to fuck done with them. And I'm done with being made to feel like a second class fan by some others. So I'm not set foot in Anfield again. I'll come to the city like I always do for my shows to meet people and say hello. But I'm done with it. It's been years now. It's been years of tropes aimed towards us about not understanding, not living close to Anfield, not being a real fan, don't go to game, all the other lazy crap that gets thrown at us. And I think a lot of these people need to realise that there's only 60,000 odd people who can set foot inside Anfield week in and week out or per game. There's a lot more of us around the world that can't, but that love the club from afar, but don't swallow everything that gets told to us as a matter of fact. Football's a grubby business, and football clubs use a lot of smoke and mirrors. It's the industry. It's just the way it is. So to just keep taking everything we're spoon-fed as gospel, it's just extremely naive. And people asking, can they buy the tickets? They were £390 per ticket, face value, from the club. Because the only way you can get them really is to go into the Carlsberg dugout or one of the other hospitality ones. And Connor's still going to be attending the game, so the tickets will go to use. But I'm just done with it. I'm just done with it. You know, I'm sick of being looked down my nose upon, people sniggering at me, people just thinking we're not serious. Do you know how many times I've been told I'm not a serious person by people who write in the football world, or people that, you know, think they're real fans and we're just all ignorant arseholes who play FIFA and scream at the telly? I'm done with it. I'm going to teach them exactly what they need to be taught, which is fan content's the way forward. There's a reason it's growing. Get with the programme or shut the fuck up. It's as simple as that. You don't get to tell everybody else how to feel and what to do. Stargirl, I'm only catching up with everything, including yesterday's match. My electricity went yesterday. I'm shocked to hear about Elliot. I hope he stays. I was really surprised to read about that yesterday. Now, I should follow up to say that it doesn't necessarily mean that Harvey Elliott's going to go. But for those who maybe weren't with us yesterday, there was a couple of reports that suggested there's certainly lots of interest in Harvey Elliott, and that Liverpool value him somewhere between 35 and 40 million pound. There was talk of Bundesliga interest. I think Brighton or a couple of other clubs are interested. And it kind of shook me, to be honest, Stargirl, because in one way I get that he's been unlucky this season with the injury, and it's kind of stopped him from really being able to push on and get himself into Arne Slot's thinking. But nobody will ever convince me that he isn't a better player than Curtis Jones. But look, our opinion as fans in this doesn't matter. It's down to the manager, and like I've always said, he'll live and die by his own decisions. If he deems and the club deem maybe Elliott surplus to requirements at the end of the season, I won't agree with it, but as long as we get a replacement in, and I guess for a lot of us that's the key word, right? It's hard to talk about selling players and getting top money for them when we're not seeing that money really reinvested. Or, you know, where's your Joel Matip replacements? Where's the Thiago Alcantara replacements? Where's the contract extensions for the players? You know, all the basic stuff that Richard Hughes and the club have just neglected to get done. But think that they won't get called out over it, and think that they can just ignore fans and not give them any heads up about what's happening at the club. Or it's just arrogance. It's absolute fucking arrogance. Angie, how are you, my friend? Said, hope you're feeling better today. Pulled on my heartstrings. Sending you a big hug. Ignore the idiots. I'm sick of FSG being cheap. Look, so as I mentioned, there's something I can't discuss this evening, because I know if I discuss it this evening, I'm going to say something I don't want to say about somebody who I hold in high regard. So I'm going to continue to process this stuff over the next few days. And I'll talk about it during the week when I'm a lot more calm about it, and I feel a lot more balanced about it, because I don't feel it would be right for me to come on tonight and shoot from the hip about it. Cal, how are you, bro? Said, hey Craig, issue with FSG is communication. I couldn't agree more, mate, and I'm going to come back to that point in a second. And typical of today's society, no open dialect at all. All they do is either ignore or try cancel culture. Fans understand we don't have limitless money, but just engage with us as a club. I think that is one of the most sincere and balanced comments, Cal, I've read in a while from fans, and you summarised exactly how I feel, mate. There is a lack of communication, and I can't speak to other football clubs because, you know, we're Liverpool fans and we live and breathe Liverpool, but the owners, in my opinion, are just not interested in really winning and not doing everything, despite what they say. You know, everybody knows what to say. Everybody knows how to not sound like an asshole. Everybody knows how to not be racist. Everybody knows how to not be sexist. You know, we all know. But it doesn't mean that just because you say everything is great, the club is being run perfectly, that we all have to accept it. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, a lot of the time it's a duck. And you're right, no open dialect, no room for dissenting voices or a challenging opinion. Just take the soup, eat the soup, and shut up. That's it. Know your place, be a good little boy or girl, and shut up and let the serious people do the work. But also, gives your money, and everything's becoming more expensive. It's arrogance, and it's arrogance that you're seen right across the world now in so many different ways. It's just not going to be the case moving on. People deserve to have a say. People deserve to be listened to, and fans are unhappy. Whether people want to admit that or not, there is a vocal majority, I think, of Liverpool fans who are displeased with the way we conduct ourselves in transfer markets. Nick, how are you, Nick? Said the Red Sox are possibly heading towards arbitration with one of their best players last season. FSG are not budging on a 500k difference between the parties. They risk losing one of their best players over a small sum. I mean, I don't feel qualified, Nick, to speak about Major League Baseball because I know nothing about it, mate. But all I can say is what I've always said. As a Liverpool fan, I've always looked at how they run the Red Sox to the best of my understanding and thought, you know what? If they're not willing to really keep pushing on with their local team in their city, what hope have we got over the other side of the Atlantic? And people can point and say, but we won stuff. But I'm always going to say the same thing. I think we won stuff in spite of the cheapness. There is a cleverness there. You know, they did bring us back up, and that has been acknowledged multiple times. But, you know, eating bread is soon forgotten, as the phrase goes. And so many hungry Liverpool fans right now who just feel like we're constantly being told that the, you know, commercial partners are growing, the kit manufacturer deals are growing, the television revenue is growing, but we're not seeing that reflected on the pitch. And I think it gets to a breaking point where fans can see Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold, three of the most important players in modern history for Liverpool, being allowed to get into a transfer window where they can openly negotiate with clubs outside the Premier League, and our club sitting back cheaping out on it. And nobody's ever going to convince me otherwise. It's absolutely just fucking cheapness. And not one Liverpool fan that I know feels like if the worst comes to the worst and these gents leave the club or can't get a contract extension that they're happy with, nobody feels that they're going to be replaced adequately. Nobody. But again, you know, what can we do? Jordan, what do you think Dan's ability could get to? Oh, I'm so glad you brought up Jaden Danns because I wanted to segue into him. Look, I'm all in on Jaden Danns, mate. I'm all in. Every time I see this kid play football, I'm just blown away by the swagger. And I mean that in a good way. Like, he knows he's good. You know, he's not arrogant. I'm not trying to say that. But he knows he's good. And the goal that he scored again, like somebody pointed out in the comments yesterday, that wasn't easy. That came at him quickly. I've seen Darwin miss them, Salah miss them, many others miss them. But he took it very well. And it's no accident that he keeps finding his way on the score sheet when he's playing in cup games and stuff for us. And I'm at the point where I'm willing, if we sell Darwin, to push him through as the number 9. Let him battle with Diogo Jota, Luis Diaz, if the manager wants to keep playing him through the middle as well. No issues with that. But he seems special. Really, really special. And you know, I think we're on the lookout for a new hero, aren't we? You know, somebody, a new idol. And Jaden Danns could be that guy. And it really cemented it for me when because I'm an Adidas fanboy, it really cemented it for me when I seen him signing his Adidas brand deal as well. I just want him to do well. I really, really want him to do well, and I've got high expectations for him. Nick said, in addition to my last super chat, the Red Sox did not hand out a major contract in free agency this winter. Pure greed from them. Again, I'm sorry I can't give you a better answer, Nick, but I don't understand Major League Baseball. I don't understand the finances of it. I don't understand anything about it. But I know unhappy fans when I see them, and many Red Sox fans have been kind of crossing over into some of our content and into the message boards and via email over the years. And, the only people that seem to be praising FSG are the people that are answerable to them, in my opinion. And that's the people who they give access to, the people who live and breathe around the crust off their ability to cover the club. And I'm just not drinking the soup. I'm not taking it because it's not passing the smell test with me. And, my parents taught me to speak up. But in this world of ours, in the modern times, you don't get anything for speaking up. You get undermined, you get ridiculed, you get belittled, and you get silenced. And I don't care. I'm backing my parents and how they raised me over how people who think they're superior to me and my audience and my friends. I'm backing us because I know who's with me day after day. I know who has my back. I know who loves the club as much as I do, sincerely. Not just loves the club, but with a caveat. Loves the fucking club and wants it to do well. And when we see it's not doing as well as it can, not because of a lack of possibilities to improve it, but through a lack of spending from owners who've seen a valuation of a club rise from 300 million to over £5 billion, and we're supposed to be grateful for crumbs dribbling down from the top while being manipulated and lied to constantly? Bullshit. Craig, who's giving you shit? Don't stress yourself about these. You have a great channel. Keep up the great work. So, as I said, I can't speak about what has hurt me tonight, Dave. I can't, because I'm still processing it. But let's just say things moved quickly after I called out the Echo yesterday for, in my opinion, being an absolute disgrace. And like I said, they're quick enough to run and jump on social media trying to bully fan channels and fan aggregator accounts, belittle them, call them shit firms or whatever they do. But they can't take it when people push back. And that's not right. And I'm not going to allow it happen. I'm going to stand up for fan content, and I'm going to stand up for my fellow fans and aggregator accounts and everybody who works and makes our ecosystem what it is. The people who give us our information. And yeah, they'll make mistakes. And yes, sometimes they'll act off emotion. And yes, sometimes they'll use colourful language and phrases that maybe people might not like. But you know what? It's real. It's real, and the people are fucking real. And they're not withholding to anybody. And people who come in and talk about it, this, that and the other. This platform of mine here didn't just happen overnight. We grafted to get to this. We earned people's trust and respect. And I'm not having the very people that I hold so dear undermined and belittled by people that just think they're better than us. I'm not having it. Every transfer window, the FSG, I'm going to just say brown nosing here, Tony, brigade, bring out these false targets and the PSR rumours. So look, let's look at the situation with Kavicha Kvaratskhelia for a second. Earlier on that day, I was in contact with 3 different journalists, and not one of them had a clue about Kavicha Kvaratskhelia. Then almost within 4 hours, everybody was briefing about Liverpool watching the situation unfold, and that Liverpool were admirers of the player. You've all seen it unfold that day. You've seen it very quickly. Everybody was jumping out with it. And what's happened with that so far? You know the answer. Fuck all. Other than us watching Fabrizio Romano and others talk about the deal between Paris Saint-Germain and Kavicha Kvaratskhelia getting closer and closer. And a lot of people at the time said, why is this coming out? And we said, is it a distraction? Don't know. But not many people believed that was going to come of it, and lo and behold, here we are, and still no movement on it. And people are just fed up of it. You cannot take the football world at face value. You can't. Because clubs have their own selfish needs. A lot of the time people like to tell us what our morals should be, but they don't live that. They don't live those morals. How can football clubs look fans in the eye while playing people with cases hanging over their head, let's just say, out there, and telling all of us about respect and about doing things the right way? Meanwhile, they're out there playing people that may have court cases hanging over them for serious offences. It's fucking shocking. You don't get to talk to the rest of us. You don't get to talk down to us and tell us that we're wrong and that you're better than us. Mark, we're 4th overall expenditure compared to City, Arsenal and Chelsea. What are FSG trying to achieve? They wasted Klopp by not backing him. A good example, Mark, for me recently was Amad Diallo at Manchester United. So we've all read about Manchester United being in financial difficulty for weeks and months now. Jim Radcliffe cutting costs left, right and centre. Christmas bonuses out the window. Frontline staff hours being cut or whatever. Charity donations being pulled back upon. But they found a way to get the contract tied up for a promising player they wanted to keep at the club, and did it very quickly. But yeah, for us, when it comes to us asking why our deals take so long, what's the answer? These things aren't straightforward. You don't understand. There's a lot of stuff to this that goes beyond X and Y. Bullshit. People just aren't doing their jobs. And they're either not doing their jobs because John W. Henry, Tom Werner and FSG won't write the fucking checks, or they're not doing their jobs because the job's too big for them. And I don't know which one it is. But I know as I sit here right now, I'm wondering what Richard Hughes does from week to week, day to day, hour to hour. Because he's not solved priority number 1 in his inbox. He's not solved anything with regards to transfers. And we're still sitting here now trying to be told that it isn't a distraction for the contracts, even though Mohamed Salah and players have come out and fucking told us it is. Which one is it? Right, what's this one? Sorry. You can tell how much Neil Danns has influenced his boy. Jaden looks like he's been around pros his whole life and pretty much has wonder kid. I'm you don't want to put too much pressure on a young player like Jaden Danns, but I don't think you can give him too many compliments. Let's just say that. And like you've said, Nick, he does look like he's been around a good solid pro in his father, of course. And he just looks the real deal. You can see the if factor in them. Some players just come through, like Gerrard, Robbie Fowler, Michael Owen. You knew when those guys came through that they were it. Raheem Sterling was another one as well. You just knew there's no holding this lad back. You keep him on the underage teams as long as you can, but his class is there. And I'm sure young Rio will probably be another one who looks like he's destined for great things. IK said, Richard Hughes is a championship director. We need best in class, not amateurs like Hughes. You see, I think Richard Hughes did great work at Bournemouth. And I was kind of excited that with his network in Italy and his eye for talent spotting like he had at Bournemouth, I thought we would see that at Liverpool. But it feels like we procrastinate ourselves to death over these things. And it feels like at times the checklist of what has to happen for Liverpool to make a signing is a much longer checklist that's much harder to get to the pull the trigger option on. We want the best in the world, but we don't want to pay for them. We want generational talent, but we don't want to give them a decent contract. I'm at a loss sometimes to figure this stuff out. But I'm also, and I've got to make this point as well, I'm also extremely proud and happy of Arne Slot and the players that he does have and what they're doing, despite the cheapness of the owners, despite the lack of backing from the owners. It's incredible. And what Jurgen did before as well, incredible. Yeah, incredible. I'm in awe of Arnott and what he's doing. He's such a great coach. David, do you think Klopp left early because of the incoming of Hughes and Edwards and not getting backed by FSG? I don't think with Jurgen's departure it was one single thing. He spoke about tiredness and fatigue catching up with him and him not being able to put the energy into the job that's needed for it. But I don't feel like we ever really got drilled down into why that energy had suddenly gone away. What I can say is there's a potential that swimming against the tide tired him out. And whether it be the PGMOL, whether it be maybe his perceived mistreatment in the media at times, or, you know, maybe a lack of spending from the owners. I'm not sure, but I'll never believe nothing happened. Never. And I also don't think that we would have seen Richard or Michael Edwards back if Jurgen was still here. I'll go as far as to say I'm comfortable enough saying that. Raccoon said, what if the reason for the lackluster performance from the club is because this is all happening prematurely and the plan was never to spend here? I feel like there's more going on here. I'm not sure, mate. But what I do know as a Liverpool fan is this. We're in a great position now. A position that, like I've said many times, I wasn't expecting us to be in this season. But we should capitalise on it and not hope we fall over the line. And that's I think what's really winding up a lot of Liverpool fans at the minute, because we can see that we're in a good spot, but we can see we're in a good spot last year, and some people will try to tell you that they aren't comparable, but running the risk over player fatigue or picking up injuries while not replenishing your squad in transfer windows, it doesn't take a genius to put this together. So I don't know how many more windows it's going to take before fans get fed up with the promises and false dawns in the market. And while I do believe we'll win the Premier League this year, I do truly also believe that without that one or two signings that we need, we might not have as good an end to the campaign as we could have possibly had. But again, these things aren't really quantifiable, are they, you know, until it's happened. And even then, somewhat hard to quantify what you may have won. Stephen Irons, I missed your super chat earlier, bro. My apologies. And what do you think about our draw? Love you, Craig. Thank you, Stephen. It's a good draw. Yeah, look, you always want people to get a home draw because, you know, I have a lot of friends and people I know who are in the Auto Cup scheme, and it's one of the few chances they get to go to Anfield. So, you know, if you don't get a home draw, then, you know, you're hoping for as straightforward a draw as you can. And while it's a long journey for people down to Plymouth, it'll be an interesting one, and it'll give Arne Slot a chance to, I think, rotate and give fringe players a chance during what will be a busy period of the season. Thoughts on Marmoosh and any news on Kvaradona? I joined late, so sorry if you've already been asked. No, all good, bro, all good. Nothing new on Marmoosh other than the stories that have been doing the rounds that Manchester City are, you know, trying to get a deal over the line. Frankfurt looking for 80 million if it's to 80 million euro if it's to happen in January. And Kvaratskhelia, again, it seems more and more like there's meetings planned between Napoli and Paris Saint-Germain. I think George Mendes is helping PSG to try and get this deal done. And unless something drastic happens quickly, it looks like he's going to be on his way to Paris. Dave said, Craig, look at Klopp now and looks like the weight off his shoulders. In my opinion, it was FSG and other stuff. So, any manager in the Premier League that manages a club at the top, is under serious pressure, and you can see anyone that comes into the Premier League, they age quickly as well. And I'm not surprised that after a bit of time off, and I'm sure a few holidays and a few bits of work here and there, I'm sure Jurgen is feeling a lot more replenished and ready to start his new adventure. But yeah, as you said, it all probably did take its toll. Craig, do you think we will see Liverpool put in a kind of offer like they did for Caicedo again? Unsure. Even in my negativity towards the owners, I've always said I felt like that was a real offer. That if Caicedo had have accepted it, he would have been a Liverpool player. But to then go from that into ask him where's the midfielder now a few windows later again, it gets confusing to figure out how, for us, there's never players in world football that are the right fit for our squad for some reason, according to those in power at the club and who make the transfers. And I don't know, but I know I'm sick of hearing excuses. Stargirl, thank you, much appreciated, my friend. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up on some comments. Craig, do you think we'll see Liverpool? No, we've done that one. What's next up? Our priority is a centre half and a striker, in my opinion, said Ken. For me, Ken, I'd still say midfielder, and yes, you can absolutely talk about a defender as well. But yeah, I think midfielder for me is still the number one, and then I think numerically probably a centre back, but there are some places that we can improve, I think, if we're get the money to go and spend. David, how are you, my man? Said we are 2 or 3 injuries away from struggling to get over the line. That's what's important to buy this that's why it's important to buy this January. Yeah, also I agree. I also am not an idiot, and I understand that you don't sign players just in case of an injury, but we still have deficiencies that haven't been filled. And midfielder for me was what I was looking for coming into this window. And look, the window isn't closed yet, so you never know what happens, but I'm not overly optimistic based off the quietness so far. Bob said, love you, Craig, never give up. Thank you, bro. I don't plan on. I don't plan on it. I just sometimes need to take a bit of space, give my head a wobble, clear my head and come back again. Still never replaced Thiago or Matip, and also never spent the money that they saved on the mate. So, I think most of us in the chat would have understood if Liverpool spent the money they saved on the 3 contracts in the summer, Thiago Alcantara, Joel Matip and Adrian San Miguel, and seen that money reinvested in a new contract for Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold. We all would have understood if that money was used there, and maybe there was one signing brought in midfield after they've reevaluated the position. But it hasn't been. And it just keeps dragging on and on and on and on. And I don't know why people are making excuses for it. It's not good enough. Get the contract sorted. Sporting directors very rarely do interviews at any club. That's absolutely untrue. Look around Europe, mate. It's far more common in Europe for German, Dutch clubs for sporting directors to come out. And here's the thing that really annoys me about it. We were told that Arne Slot's a head coach, right? So Arne Slot's the man to come in, pick the team, coach the players, and do that side of the game. And that Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards are the sporting directors, and that they will take care of other business at the club. But yet they keep wheeling out the manager to deal with the questions that quite simply isn't his department at times, and put the manager in the firing line to go out there and answer on the contract renewals and some strengthening in the window that isn't down to him. He doesn't get to make those decisions. He has a part to play in it, but he doesn't have the final be-all and end-all say. So, again, hiding behind a manager that's put out there to deal with the real world. Didn't journalists used to challenge football clubs? I'm struggling to answer this in a way that's not going to maybe lead me into getting into more trouble, mate, but just answer me this question. When's the last time you heard a dissenting question in a Liverpool press conference? At all? Well, honestly, serious question. When's the last time anybody tried to hold people to account in a press conference? It doesn't happen. And then the same journalists that aren't actually challenging the managers or the club want respect from everybody but won't give it back a lot of the time and feel like there's no right for them to be challenged. It's the same rinse and repeat bullshit questions week after week, press conference after press conference, transfer window after transfer window. And their publications are dying away, and many more of them are having to go to other platforms to try and generate revenues and jobs for themselves. But they're still not waking up. It's not my problem anymore. You know, I try to reach out and try to show that we can have difference of opinions, but be respectful about it. It just doesn't work. There just seemingly is a line in the sand, and we're on one side of it, and they're on the other side of it, and they're fighting the good fight, the honest fight, the professional fight, and we're all FIFA heads, YouTubers who are too thick to understand how a football club works. Leave it to the real serious people. And it's tiring. It's bullshit, and it's boring, it's arrogant. Kyle Walker in talks with AC Milan, according to Fabrizio Romano and a few others. That'll be an interesting one. Walker at AC Milan. Be surprised at it, but let's wait and see what happens. Craig, what's your views on the fact that Arsenal never get slandered by the media? It's always about how well they've done. No one ever seems to acknowledge they have a rubbish performance. Look, I've always felt that there is sometimes a London bias towards clubs in that area, that they don't really get maybe the same grief as others may get. I don't really know what else to say in it, you know. I think there's this appetite to want Arsenal to somehow be successful again. But you're looking at another season now where the FA Cup's gone for Arteta and Arsenal. The Premier League title is going to be a huge jump if they can make it to that, and I don't think they will. They're 2-0 down and have to go away from home in the League Cup semi-final, so there are odds against in that one. And I don't really think anybody takes them seriously to win a Champions League this year, other than maybe some of their own fans, and that's understandable. You want to be optimistic about your own team. But I just don't think that at any other club, Arteta isn't under pressure now. And I don't get how he isn't, to be honest with you, because United fans wouldn't accept it, Liverpool fans wouldn't accept it, Chelsea fans wouldn't accept it. But, you know, team entitlement, the Arsenal fans seem to lap it up. I don't know. And then they laugh and talk about Spurs not having standards. TOTT2KZ1 said, what's great about academy players is that they've no fear. They want to take players on and make things happen. I've never seen a 16-year-old marked by 3 men before in one game. Shows the talent. Yeah, it's the fearlessness of youth. I love it as well. And I love a young winger like that who just runs at people and puts the fear of God into fullbacks. There's something special about it at that tender young age when they're breaking onto the scene, and I admire it, quite frankly, you know, because if I was their age, I wouldn't have the same confidence in myself or the same belief, and that's I guess what separates them from the rest, right? There's a lot of good footballers out there, but to have all of that and the mentality to go and just perform on the biggest level, it's special. Cal Down said, what we need to get back to, instead of journos briefing us on Liverpool or monitoring, is a transfer like Fabinho. Fully out of nowhere transfer was done. Yes, that was great. And I love them days. When you just all of a sudden out of nowhere get a couple of alerts on your phone, you're looking down, you're like, oh, that's happening. Yeah, they're brilliant. I agree. Another January wasted as per usual. Just a joke, said David LFC 96. So I guess the optimist in me, David, would say we're still in the window, mate. But I think the optimist in me about FSG died quite a few years ago. And I expect the bare minimum at this point. And I feel like our fan base, more than any others, have been made kind of grateful for crumbs and have had our expectations danced on a lot of the time about what our club should be doing through various methods and various thought processes of we aren't like this or why, or we do things in a certain way, or you have to be a special super duper player to play for Liverpool in this way and that way. And yeah, it's tiring when you see the same rinse and repeat stuff window after window. Jack Hughes said, Craig, what ever happened to our fly in the wall documentary about Klopp's last year? So again, to the best of my understanding, it was initially thought that was going to be bought by Disney Plus. Then I think there was some Netflix talks about it. But as of right now, I'm not aware of anyone having bought it, or when we may get to see it. Like you, I'm really much looking forward to it, because there's going to be a lot of stuff about players and behind the scenes stuff and their home lives and, you know, what it's like on a daily basis at the club and the extra training facility. And yeah, loads of us were really excited by it, but I don't know. You know, I'm not in the media. Well, I am in the media production world, but not in that side of things. So I don't really know what the process is there, but hopefully we get to see it someday. So can I ask you guys a little favour, if I may? If you can, for me, do drop a like on the stream if you're enjoying it. Be lovely to try and get that up to 1,000. That would be incredible. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button as well, please do. There's one question that I'm going to ask you guys, because I'm sure you guys have read lots of stuff as well, and I'm open to missing this stuff, but has anybody ever seen or been told or read what actually is covered in the wages budget at Liverpool? Because it's always intrigued me to wonder, you know, are we talking about players? Are we talking about players, coaches, backroom staff? Are we talking about players, coaches, backroom staff, executives? You know, what's covered in the wages and how much of it is going to a Hughes or an Edwards or, you know, people that we don't really get to know too much about or see very often or hear that often from. Because I've always had my confusion around why there was this constant narrative that our wage bill was just really, really high all the time. Right, I'm going to ask a simple question because, you know, there's enough people in the chat that I want to get an answer on it. And this is just an honest question. It's a simple one, and it's just, do you like FSG as owners? Just a yes or a no. Because I often second guess myself when I'm on here and I'm talking about the owners and I'm speaking about my own disdain and displeasure, and sometimes I say, Craig, are you just toxic? Are you an asshole? You know, are you ungrateful? Am I wrong? Because I don't think I'm being unreasonable or expecting too much, but I guess sometimes you do have those seeds of doubt creep into your own thought process. Right, what else we got? They have good and bad elements. Yeah, look, again, I'll be the very first to say they are not all bad owners, and I've said this multiple times. You know, people that see clips of our community and channel think that we're just this ranting anti-FSG everything, but they don't see that we don't really talk about them from one transfer window to the next. And, you know, a clip on social media isn't a good screenshot or snapshot of our community, because you usually see me at one of my most emotional moments. But from my own experience chatting with Liverpool fans, whether it's at our live stuff or whether it's in our chat, I think most people feel like they're not the worst owners in the world. But a lot of people feel like they're just not doing enough to push on a little bit further, or to try and have a period of dominance, rather than we get to the top and then we fall away again and we don't strengthen. So yeah, I'm interested, because I often see polls from other outlets or publications that are a lot more 50-50 and stuff, and again, I appreciate everybody's viewpoints on it, but I just want to know, you know, how our audience feels about them. Cameron, how are you, mate? Said, hey Craig, speaking about FSG, have you seen the video of FSG arguing to Boston Red Sox fans that handling baseball players' wages was so expensive, and the fans booing them straight after? Must be nice to hear from them, is what I'd say firstly. It doesn't seem like anybody's answerable to the Liverpool fan base whatsoever, other than, of course, the manager, who isn't in control of a lot of this stuff and shouldn't be on the receiving end of these questions. But no, I didn't see it. I've heard bits and pieces about it, but as I've said, I don't understand Major League Baseball, so I'm not the person to give you a view on that. Stephen Dunn said, the work on the Anfield and training facilities they have to be given huge credit for, but one word kills me, it's Super League. So I agree that they deserve to be given credit for it, but also not as much as some people give them, and let me explain why. So look, am I happy that Anfield has been improved? Of course I am. Am I happy that the area around Anfield has been improved? Yes. Training ground, yes. But let's not forget one thing. It was a good thing, but it benefits them as well. They didn't just do it because they wanted more Liverpool fans to get to go to the game. They did it to raise the value of their asset and to, you know, make more money from ticket sales and hospitality and corporate ticket sales. So it was no white knight perfect decision that, you know, they just came out with. And if you weighed that up against the cost of maybe moving out of Anfield, you can see that it was a very favourable decision financially for them. Doesn't mean it wasn't the right decision, by the way. I think the majority of Liverpool fans will feel that staying at Anfield was the right thing to do. They did the same thing in Boston as well. So, you know, I do give them credit for that stuff, but it's basic bitch stuff. It's like, again, it's like you building an extension on your house and then, you know, going outside and wanting everybody in the state to throw flowers at you and tell you how great you are for increasing the value of the thing that you're going to see the benefit of. Is said, as discussed in the chat, FSG are for a mid-table team looking to progress, like getting into lower league comps, not a team looking to be the best in the world. For me, as our friend pointed out a second ago, Stephen, the Super League thing was my personal line in the sand with them. I couldn't come back from that. You know, I couldn't. And not as somebody who fell in love with the club because of the tradition of seeing us winning European Cups and captains that came before, and the history and traditions of football at Anfield and what the European Cup has meant to Liverpool. To be woke up one day and see that, oh well, we're in this competition now and that's it, deal with it. That is a level of betrayal that I'll never get over. Never. Like, you can't do much about it now. It's been and gone. You move on. You have to kind of move ahead with things, but I'll never forget about it because they didn't give a shit. Like, absolutely stuck the knife in all of our back. The players didn't know, the managers didn't know, the season ticket holders didn't know, nobody knew. And they did it to benefit themselves because they wanted more money in a closed shop. And they didn't care about the history, the traditions, or the love affair with the European Cup. It was absolutely disgusting. As was that bullshit apology video that John W. Henry was wheeled out to make. Like I've broken down on many times. Horseshit. PR 101. Bullshit. Camera above his head. Yellow flowers for calming effect on the table. Raised camera position. Just absolute nonsense. What he meant to say was, I'm sorry we didn't get away with it. Because if he was so concerned about how fans felt about it, why didn't you engage with fans, season ticket holders, members around the world? Why didn't you maybe just take the temperature and see how people would have felt about it? I'll tell you why. Because he didn't care how people felt about it. The only thing he cared about was the bad publicity that came along when football came together in those glorious 72 or so hours and stuck two fingers up to people that thought they knew what was best for us in the game and showed them where the game belongs and who it belongs to. So, yeah, Stephen, the Super League is absolutely fucking despicable. The detective said the perceived high wage bill comes from seasons ago when we had the likes of Milner, Ox, Cada, Thiago and others on high wages. They aren't here anymore and in some instances haven't been replaced. I agree on the haven't been replaced. And like I said, mate, I think most of us would understand if those saved wages were put into the contract for Virgil, for Trent and for Mo. But again, nothing there. You know, here's my take, right? I think that the Kvaratskhelia stuff was out there as a reminder to Mo that we have options. So maybe, you know, sign the contract on the terms we're offering you, or you don't get to break these records and you won't get to stay at Liverpool and we aren't going to be held over a barrel. You know, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but it's possible. And I'm not even saying it's right or wrong, because in any negotiation you want the leverage in that negotiation. So, you know, that was my thought process on it when I first seen the story. You know, excited and you hope, oh, that'll be cool. Maybe this will happen and maybe that might happen and this player might go there or whatever. But, you know, ultimately it could be used to try and break a log jam in the negotiations. How would you feel about keeping Núñez and switching him to a winger? Don't need him, Lee. We have enough wingers on the left side. You know, we've got Diaz, we've got Gakpo. I wouldn't be hanging on to Darwin Núñez just because we have him and he's not working in the position he was signed for. You know, it's unfortunate, but I think the time is to part ways. Now, there is some talk coming out of some journalists in Saudi, and I think Moby Hake on social said this, that there's talk that they don't believe there's any interest from Al Hilal really in Darwin Núñez despite some of the reports. But, you know, I don't know Saudi football well enough to speak to that. Mark Harding said, don't be fooled by training ground and ground expansion. It's paid with loans backed by the club, revenue while raising the value of the club. Oh, I know, mate. That's what I said. You know, it's paid for by increased ticket prices, increased footfall through the ground, increased sales on a match day. I'm well aware of all of this, mate, but it doesn't mean it isn't a mutually beneficial thing. You know, having more Reds inside Anfield is a good thing, whichever way you dress it up. But it's not an altruistic thing that they've done. You know, it was a decision that benefits everybody, and that's all right. That's cool as well. Adam Brown said, hey Craig, hope you're keeping well. So happy to see Arsenal having another trophyless season. Biggest bottle jobs in world football. Can't stand Arteta. So, up until this season, Adam, I actually thought Arsenal fans were alright. But I've seen an absolute sense of entitlement and delusion that isn't justified from so many of them outside of my friend Lee Gunner. But it's crazy. Like, often at times I look at some of the stuff that I see and get sent from socials and think, that can't be a serious post. Like, that has to be a piss take or a wind up. Because, you know, what is he now, 6 years into his job? 1 FA Cup maybe? I know he loves to count the Community Shield, but it's not a real trophy. That's not great for 700 odd million quid spent on transfers. Joe, how are you, my man? Said Chiesa needed that. Now the monkey's off his back, I think he'll do well. I think so as well. Yeah, and I hope he does. It was lovely to see him have that smile yesterday, and I think a little wave up to his family as well. Probably thought the goal wasn't going to come from after hitting the post as well, seeing his shot saved and then parrying back to Jaden Danns. But yeah, delighted for him. And I love any of those strikes, by the way, where they use the defender's legs as a way to kind of stop the keeper from setting himself. And I thought it was a really good finish from Federico. And like yourself, mate, delighted for him. Somebody said, Craig, any news on Loic Bade? The only thing that I'd seen was a report that was put out there on Transfer Sector and was accredited to Sport in Spain that said, transfer news, Liverpool and Newcastle are interested in signing Loic Bade, available for 25 to 30 million euro. So let me run through really quickly, by the way, in case anyone's missed it, the full FA Cup 4th round draw. Manchester United versus Leicester City was the first one out of the hat, which means obviously Manchester United are going to welcome Ruud van Nistelrooy back to Old Trafford. Then Leeds versus Millwall or Dagenham, Brighton and Hove Albion against Chelsea, Preston or Charlton against Wycombe Wanderers, Exeter take on Nottingham Forest, Coventry against Ipswich, Blackburn versus Wolves, Mansfield or Wigan against Fulham, Birmingham versus Newcastle, Plymouth against Liverpool, Everton versus Bournemouth, Aston Villa versus Spurs, Southampton against Burnley, Leyton Orient or Derby against Manchester City, Doncaster against Crystal Palace, and Stoke versus Cardiff. Matches will be played between the 7th and 10th of February, I believe. A lot of gooners questioning Arteta after tonight, said Philip. I think they've every right to. You know, like, hand on heart, bias out the window. I think Mikel Arteta has moved Arsenal on. Absolutely. He's gotten them to become a regular Champions League club again. And he's certainly moved them back up the league table and made them a contender. But I don't think with the way he goes about his style of management, I think he's more a Gareth Southgate-esque don't lose manager than go out there to grab it by the scruff of the neck and win. And that will get you so far. But I don't think it's going to get them where they want to be. It's not my place to tell Arsenal fans what to think of their manager, but I don't think it will cut it at any other club after this long. I think back to Jurgen coming into Liverpool, and after 6 years at Liverpool and 700 million quid spent in Arteta's case, if we had one FA Cup to show for that, I don't think we'd be happy. I don't think we'd be... Yeah, we wouldn't be happy. We'd be asking, what's going on here? Why can't we take that last step? So, you know, it's up to Arsenal fans to decide what they want to do about their own manager, but this was supposed to be their coronation season. Really nervous for the Forest game. How are you feeling? Said Adam. Same as you. Very nervous. I just recorded the preview before I started the stream, and it's a huge game. I mean, I'd almost go as far as to say one of the biggest games of the season for us so far. You know, I've no doubt Arsenal and other clubs' fans are looking at this fixture and thinking there's a good chance here Liverpool drop points. And I can understand that entirely. For us, I hope the motivation of Forest beating us at Anfield is, you know, coupled with the fact that we have a chance to strike an early blow on the weekend or in the midweek fixtures. Arsenal play North London Derby against Spurs on the Wednesday at the Emirates. So, yeah, it's huge. And I'd be a liar if I said I wasn't nervous about it. I flirted in my prediction between a 2-2 draw and a narrow victory, and I'll let you watch it tomorrow and see what I ended up going with. But, you know, Forest are flying coming into this. You know, 5 wins on the bounce. Ivan. I don't know if that's the real Ivan account or not, but always have a smile for Ivan, even if it is a fake one. Always have a smile for Ivan. who's always very respectful of us, by the way, as well, which means a lot to me personally. Danino, how are you, man? Said, Craig, great draw. We can play the fringe squad and players like Danns. Yes. Good draw. It's not a home draw, which is what you look for first, but it's certainly not the worst draw we could have had. Robert O'Driscoll said, don't forget the furlough payments. Oh, look, there's other stuff, Robert. There's the trying to trademark Liverpool from a footballing context. The furloughing of staff, as you've said, the £77 tickets. There have been stuff that they've done wrong, yeah. But look, nobody's going to be perfect, and they will make errors. But it's the Super League for me, my man. That was the biggest one of all. But the other ones, as you've said, they all add to it. They all add to the bad taste left in your mouth. David, how are you? Said, selling Elliott would be a massive mistake, in my opinion. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope he gets an opportunity to prove himself, because, you know, I believe Elliott will be good enough if he gets that chance. But he's also been unlucky this season with the injury he had just at the wrong time, which, of course, isn't his fault at all. Tito said, hey Craig, what the hell's going on with the 130 charges? So, as we know, the hearing's over. The perceived wisdom is that you'll hear something over the next month or so. Either side, whoever's unhappy with it, will likely appeal it, and it's going to get dragged out. And, you know, a lot of people from the journalist world who cover this have said next year, after the season starts, even next year, midway through next year, before this maybe fully reaches its conclusion. Yeah, it's like you can break the rules and get away with it for so many years, or at least be charged with breaking the rules and get away for so many years. But again, to be held to account for it is a never-ending delay. Meanwhile, you sit back and watch them collect trophies and just think it's all ill-gotten gains. Like, it's all bullshit. Right, so we've left the poll and the owners go. We're almost at the 1,000 votes that we like to get before we end these things. So 7 more to go, and then we'll call it. We asked the question, do you like FSG as owners? We've now had, have we had the 1,000 votes? Very close to it. 1 second. 1 more to go. There we go. We've had the 1,000 votes, and after the 1,000 votes, 78% of people, it was 78, they always take 1% off, said they aren't happy with them as owners, and 22% said that they are. And again, to those that say that they are, I can understand some of your thought processes about what they've improved at the club, and I have genuinely credited them for that stuff over the years as well. But it's the lack of pushing on for me, and the lack of strengthening from a position of strength in the transfer market, as well as the Super League stuff, that I just don't think they have the stomach for it. So this Simas name that Ivan and many others have brought up in the chat, there's a reason I haven't read it out. I have no idea who he is. I don't know anything about him. So Sam Maguire, I hope Sam's well. Sam Maguire said, Liverpool know what is required to sign Stefanos Chimaz this month. They're currently ahead of Bayern in the race to sign the striker. I've no idea. Never heard of him before. So, you know, help on this one would be appreciated. And it's weird again, you know, being lined with attacking players. Do you know what's gone very quiet? What's happened to the whole Zubamendi thing? You know, has there been any movement on him? Because Guillaume Balaguer and many others had said that he's now open to leaving Sociedad, but I've not really seen much lately about what's going on there with us or anyone. Ash said, 7th for net spend in the last 10 years. only spent 7 million more than West Ham in 8th, also 7th in the last 5 years. Not a sustainable model to constantly be title challengers, doing it in spite of the owners. That's kind of been my take a lot of the way through it as well, Ash, and thank you for that. Brian Atkinson said, made me laugh when I heard we were linked with Kimmich and Musiala. I swear FSG is someone on the payroll who leaks these BS stories. I'm still confused as to where that Kavicha Kvaratskhelia story came from all of a sudden from everybody in one evening when nobody was talking about it earlier on in the day, and then everybody was singing from the same hymn sheet very, very quickly, and all of a sudden then journalists were briefed on Liverpool's interest where nobody had ever been mentioning them before. That type of shit makes me laugh, because like, just tell us you've been briefed something, that you were told to come out and do this or say this, because you know he's on his way to PSG by the looks of it, and that day just feels like a really weird one. How do you know that? Said, hey Craig, anybody heard from the owners and their opinions regarding funds for transfers and contracts? No. There isn't much accountability to fans at our club. You know, as I keep saying, it's just Arne Slot that's wheeled out there week after week to deal with questions that quite frankly he shouldn't be answering because they aren't on him. But he's the only public face of the club that people get to ask, and I have a lot of sympathies for Arne because he's a head coach and he's there to be asked about availability of players and, you know, who's fit and who isn't, who's trained them well, team selection, all that other stuff. But, you know, he's not negotiating the contracts with the players. But, you know, these people don't believe we need to be spoken to or briefed or, you know, even engaged with as fans. And I mean right across the board here, by the way. I'm just saying there's just nobody's answerable. There's these mystical figures that operate in the shadows that we're all just supposed to just go, oh, okay, then we take everything at face value and everyone's great and these are all geniuses, and you know they're working on their brilliant little algorithms and they've all got their abacuses out and they're all, you know, working on everything, and the scouts have done this and that and that and that, but nothing's happening. I'm done with it, you know. I'm just fucking done with it all with regards to people not being held to account. You know, Richard Hughes should either be fired or given more money to spend on these contracts. But the fact that he hasn't sorted it is an absolute disgrace. An absolute disgrace that we're still in this situation with the contracts. And yet, Man United, who haven't got two peas to rub together, are out there and they're able to give Amad Diallo a new contract to keep him at the club, but we can't sort out one of our three players that have delivered Premier League titles in the European Cup. It's fucking embarrassing. Joe said, you've said it before, but I would sell Alisson in the summer and keep Kelleher, let him fight it out with the new guy. I would have done it just on the age profile of the goalkeeping department, but I've always been told very clearly that there was no chance Kelleher stays past the summer. I think he's got 1 year to go at the end of this season. And he's been patient, waiting for his chances. And then he got his chance. Many people feel took his chance. And then the manager, who, be fair to Arne, he's been upfront about it all the way through and said, look, when Alisson's back, he's my guy. He's the goalkeeper. And that's okay, you know. Firm, quick decisions from the manager. You know, that's his job and he lives and dies by those decisions. But I'm biased in this as an Irishman, you know. I want to see as many Irish players at Liverpool as possible. Have I got my car yet? Yes, mate, we got it last week. Yeah, thank you. Grim Reaper said, Kvaratskhelia talk was all a smokescreen to distract fans' attention away from the lack of progress with these contracts. So, do you know what, this is funny, right? So, Sam Maguire's a nice guy and I'm not at all trying to knock what Sam's writing, but the way the wording of this is kind of makes me chuckle a little bit, because it said exclusive, Liverpool now know what is required to sign Stefanos Tsitsipas. You know, I know what's required to buy a Ferrari, but the odds of one showing up in my driveway next week are slim to fucking none. So I always find the wording of these type of things really funny. I know what's required to lose weight, but getting my fat arse up off the chair to go and do it's a whole another thing, you know. So knowing what's required to do something and actually going out there and doing something are very different things. And I'm sure that they are aware of what's needed to go and do X, Y, and Z, but can they actually get round to doing X, Y, and Z, please? And, you know, thank you. So this piece here said, Liverpool's record bid for Stefanos Tsitsipas. Anfield Watches learned that after talks between three clubs this week, Liverpool were told that a fee of £25 million would be enough to secure a deal now, something the Premier League leaguers are eager to do. It would make Tsitsipas the most expensive player in Greek history, surpassing the £23 million Marseille paid to sign Kostas Mitroglou. The Reds are hoping to get the transfer completed quickly, with Bayern Munich showing an interest in the highly rated youngster. Liverpool, however, his arrival at Anfield is tied to the departure of Darwin Núñez. Liverpool's current number 9 is a target for Saudi clubs this month. See, there you go. Giveth with one hand, sticketh two fingers up with the other. Everything's tied to Liverpool being able to move on Darwin Núñez. Why? And I don't want to hear squad places, by the way. If he's the guy you want, get him in and then find a way to move on the player you don't want, whether it's now or in the summer. But don't tell us you can't carry £25 million fee and wages for a few months while you figure it out. So the last line of that, again, just sums up where we are as a club. And yeah, again, you try to argue that we're not sell to buy, but once again, and you know, we're talking about selling a player for probably 45 to buy a £25 million player, and we're still unable to do that without selling the first lad. I don't know. I don't know where to go with that. Does anybody else feel that's a bit tin pot? Cameron said, does Arna have a say in who the club bring in? Oh, I would imagine he'd have a say, yes. Not the maybe the final say, but not the be all and end all, let's say. I think Jurgen would have had a lot more power in that. But then again, a lot of managers have to earn this power over time. Like Arteta's power has grown. Jurgen's power grew at Anfield over time as well. So, you know, Arna's a head coach. I'm sure he has a say in it. I'm sure he's going to say, look, I don't see this guy fitting in my system. But then again, the scouts will know exactly what the manager's looking for in any position. So, you know, the scouting would be done accordingly. Look, I need a quick favour, folks. We're at 788 likes. If 200 of you guys can hit that like button, or just over 200, and push us over 1,000 likes for the stream, it would be super. Really appreciated. Gonna hang on for another 10 minutes. So any other questions for tonight, throw them into the chat and I'll do my best to get to them. Then I'm going to head off and record a recap video of all the news of the day. Some of it I've covered tonight, some of it I haven't got a chance to get round to. I wanted to just come on tonight and just chat more than anything else. Chat about Jaden Danns and how bright his future's looking. Chat about where we are, FA Cup draw, what's coming up, and of course, anything else. Cam, how are you, bro? Long time no see. Can't wait for the fourth round. I was thinking of you earlier on, believe it or not, Cam. Yeah, I was thinking of you when I seen the draw. And you and Pieface, two people that came into my mind first and foremost, mate, when I seen the fourth round draw. So yeah, enjoy it, my man, enjoy it. And yeah, it's interesting. FA Cup. Do you know what I loved, actually? I loved seeing some of the interviews with the Tamworth players, managers and staff after the game against Spurs today. I thought it was really good stuff, like really fulfilling stuff as a fan, you know, the magic of the FA Cup and all that, and it was really good. It was really wholesome content to watch. Is Tuesday's match a title decider? Said Stephen L. I mean, maybe not that far, but it'll certainly go a long way to re-establishing our credentials. You know, you look at this game against Forest, Stephen, and they beat us fair and square at Anfield. So, you know, well done to them on that one. They are on an incredible run. They're in the position they're in on merit. And no doubt the City ground's going to be absolutely rocking. And it's going to be a difficult 90 minutes. But if you want to win the Premier League, if you want to be the best team in England, you got to go there and get these wins. So, I think this is, to me, in my mind, this is more kill off the hope of the chasing pack than anything else, than a title decider, because I don't think Forest are going to last the pace, although, you know, they've every right to be dreaming about European football. But yeah, it's a big one. It is a big one, mate, and I'd be a liar if I told you I wasn't nervous about it. Paul, I'm going to do a video, mate, in about 15-20 minutes on everything I've spoken about tonight that will drop on in a nice little 8-minute segment for you, rather than trying to recap everything I went through. Why go for Chimaz when we have Danns? Again, my man, I have no idea. I don't know anything about Stefanos Chimaz, nothing. I only heard his name tonight for the first time when he came up in the chat. Do you think Arsenal will lose to Spurs? God, it's so difficult, isn't it, to tell what Spurs are going to show up. I'm expecting Arsenal to win the North London derby. It's at the Emirates, so I do expect them to win it. But you never know. Like, Spurs on their day are capable of scoring goals. Arsenal are good defensively, but, you know, aren't as free-flowing in attack. They're missing a lot of players. Jesus is out. Saka's out. The youngster, Ranieri, is that his name on the right? He's out. So, who knows? But we have a chance to at least put the points on the board beforehand and put the pressure back on Arsenal's shoulders, and I hope we can do that. Right, we are 114 likes away. So, if we can get that in the 6 minutes before we finish, I think it's a job well done tonight, everyone. So, if you haven't hit that like button, please do. This one. Vinny Jr. humbled once again. 2-5 Barca Spanish Cup. Yeah, I mean, the perceived wisdom was that Madrid were going to show up and trounce Barca. Even Barcelona fans that I know were worried about that game. But I remember checking in at half time and it was 4-1 or something at that point to Barcelona after Mbappe had given Real Madrid the lead. Trent and Robbo, the fullbacks for Tuesday, said Paul. Yeah, for me, yeah. Yeah, Paul, I would say that. Trent did well when he came on against United. Scored a great goal as well in the FA Cup against Accrington. Playing with a smile on his face. Brilliant. Let's keep that good mood going into the next one. I would expect him to start on Tuesday, mate. Yeah. What was the latest with Bukrema? Nothing new. Yesterday there was a story that said that Liverpool had put in an offer for him. Now, that was only reported by one Italian source. I'm just scrolling back through my notes here now. Yeah, so here it is here. It's according to Italian outlet 1000 Corriere Rossoblu, Liverpool have made an attempt to sign Bologna centre-back Sam Bukrema. Went on to say that Arne Slot's familiar with him, having tried to sign him when he was at Feyenoord. 26 years of age. That's it. That's the only thing I've seen reported on it. Nobody else has really ran with the story that I've seen. Cam Vlog said Salah at home park. I don't think you're going to see Salah at home park. At least not in the starting 11. Anyway, mate. But you never know. If you guys go ahead or frustrate, maybe Arne Slot has to empty the bench. But I would be confident he doesn't start that game, to be honest with you. Right, only 75 more likes to go. So thank you to everyone that has hit the like button. So Liverpool created more XG in their 2-2 draw to Manchester United this month than they did in their 7-0 thrashing in 2023. That is nuts. XG philosophy, and George in our Discord group sent this to Mark, who sent it on to me. So in our 2-2 draw with United, we had an XG of 3.01. When we beat them 7-0, the XG was 2.91. That's nuts. That is actually nuts. It very much is an interesting one. Canade contract gone quiet, said JFT97 Toronto. Yeah, it has. Look, Ibu looks like he loves it at Liverpool, to be fair, and I think the club very much love Ibu as well. I know I certainly do as a fan, and I know everyone I know does. So hopefully this gets sorted out, because you know he is a mainstay of our defence. Him and Virgil are the partnership, and hopefully it gets sorted out, mate. I think 1 year to go at the end of this one, but we're still trying to figure out the 3 players who are out in the summer now, which is frustrating. Right, 40 likes to go with 3 minutes to go. So if you can't help me get to that 1,000 before I finish up at 10:15. So here's what's coming up tomorrow. The preview is going to come out tomorrow morning for the Nottingham Forest game. That's going to come out about 10:30, I believe. We'll have a news video then coming out at about 4 o'clock tomorrow. Late night agenda stream tomorrow night, and then a news recap video. Obviously on Tuesday then we go straight into the watch along for the Forest game. 8 o'clock kickoff. Will be live from 6:45 for that one. Have I seen the Super Cup result? I have, mate, yes. Incredible win that for Barcelona, and it's the second battering for them of Real Madrid this season. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we're only 1 like away. Who's going to be lucky number 1,000? I live in Plymouth, said Dave. My family supports Plymouth, and I'm the only Liverpool fan. Well, maybe they can sneak you in. Maybe they can get you a ticket for the game, mate, and sneak you in. How sad are you that Marmoosh is joining City, said Soul Killer. Yeah, disappointed. Yeah, disappointed. I was hoping that we'd end up getting him in, and then he'd become the future Egyptian king, the prince that becomes a king, maybe. But yeah, he's off to well, certainly looking like he could be off the City. So yeah, not great. But look, let's wait and see what happens for the remainder of the month. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say goodnight to you all. Thank you to everyone that joined us tonight. As I said, there's some stuff that I can't talk about at the moment that I will fill you guys in on over the next few days. I just need to process it a little bit, and I just want you guys to know one thing before we go. You all mean the world to me, and your support of me on a personal level has been incredible. I hope I continue to do you proud and not embarrass you as often as maybe I do, but I'm here for our community, to support fan content, to fight our corner, to fight fan content's corner. Stick up for all the aggregate accounts on Twitter and elsewhere as well, because, you know, together I think we have something special, and it means a lot to me and special to me. So much love to all of you guys, and I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Talk to you then. Bye bye.